Saika Estate, Nairobi.
Okay, thanks, Ontomwa. And it seems quite clear that there's a surge in insecurity, especially in the capital, Nairobi, and this might permeate to other parts of the country. That's why we're having an all-important discussion right here. And we'll just simply sample the views of our panelists right here in studio as we continue with this conversation, because it's quite unfortunate that Kenyans going about their busy day-to-day activities are targeted by criminals or rogue elements, and their possessions are stolen. So, gentlemen, 10 minutes on our time, and I'd like us to be quite brief, 1 minute each, so we can all have a say in what we've just seen. I'll start with you, Senator Dan Manzo. There's a perception that perhaps as we near the general election, there's a tendency of the security agencies to focus on political surveillance rather than criminal surveillance. Your take on that?
Well, I think that it is important that the government and the police keep the country safe, especially during this year of elections, which is about to commence. And more important is we earn a lot of money from tourists. And these tourists now are covered all over the world. We have heard of travel advisory for security purposes. When you make the country chaotic, then you have less and less people cancelling their visit to Kenya. And this is a big loss to the country. Right. And therefore, there is every need that for the world to see that we are cleaned up these. First of all, there must be an effort to arrest all those people who committed these crimes, the ones who stole from these women, the ones sponsoring goons. There must be seen serious trials and which impedes this sort of activities, and especially politicians who are hiring and sponsoring goons. They should be brought to law. Okay. And at the same time, all these arms, which are in the public, should be recovered. And the last one, if these goons are left to continue with their activities, then once the politics are over and they are no longer earning money, what do? They can only turn to crime. They can only turn into robberies with violences and creating chaos to the civil society, to Kenyans generally. And therefore, the best thing is to stop this now, is to work on it now, and to make arrests, and to make sure that people are now know that it's no longer lucrative to be in gangs and to commit crime.
Definitely, crime shouldn't pay at the end of the day. Pius, as you come in, just seen the statistics, roughly 600,000 illegal firearms in the hands of what we'd call criminals. How do we nip it at the bud?
I just say it's unfortunate. Let us redeem our country. The whole society approach is required. Safety begins with me and you, so let us act now. You know, the law is very specific that everyone has powers, even the public. Let us not say that issue of criminality should be left for the police alone. Let us all stand up and say no to criminality, because you see those ones who are given money by the criminals, by the politicians, they are getting money there. Now those ones who are not deployed by the politicians, they are now praying for the Kenyans who are working hard. Now, how can investors come in this country? So I'm saying that let everyone work. It's not about the president, it's not about the inspector general, it's not about the CS, but about the whole society approach. And those police officers who are my colleagues, let them do their work. Simple. And the public are ready to support them.
All right.
We need to have what we could, a better police-public relation, meetings and forums. Thank you.
Asante. Boni, at the end of the day, politicians have been looked at as part of the problem, and they should be part of the solution as well. How do we change the narrative?
If Kenyans are not safe, then no politician should be safe. I would like us to withdraw all officers who are protecting politicians to go and protect Kenyans. The moment you do that, it will force them to be more accountable and to demand action from the government. When I was growing up, we used to have crime statistics. There will be like quarterly announcement by Nairobi area commander saying there have been this number of robberies, this number of crimes. We need to be able to see that, to know where we're going wrong. Because right now, there's a lot of police officers concentrated on top politicians and their mistresses and governors and their hang-ons. If we withdraw all those officers, they will secure our homes, our estates, and all Kenyans is going to be safe. But as long as Kenyans are not safe, no politician should have a bodyguard. Let them come back, let them be deployed to protect our streets and our homes.
That's interesting. Eric, at the end of the day, we've spoken about the role of journalists, but if politicians don't have police officers to secure them, when they go back to these groups that perhaps have been infiltrated by criminal elements in order to provide security?
I think if you look at what happens around is that politicians have bodyguards, yes, who are police officers. Like I said, if a politician is going somewhere else, you always find nowadays a politician will have 2 cars. One carrying the youth who are going to protect him and who are going to probably form a ring around him when he's entering into a gathering. So police officers will always be there, but many a times you'll find that police officers are not actually guarding these politicians. But looking at the crime and the surge in crime in different parts of the country, this is purely a problem that is supposed to be put in the doors of National Police Service.
All right.
Because this is a crime, and police actually exist to ensure that this kind of crime, actually they nip it in the bud. I believe that police in Kenya have got the capacity to go for these criminals and even do a swap and find out who are holding these illegal firearms and actually confiscate them. You saw that just recently when police actually decided to take action about what happened in Westlands, and they're able to get the criminal and the firearm. Guess who owned the firearm? So those are some of the problems we're having as a society, that we are in leadership positions, but sometimes we don't take seriously the position that we begin as leaders in the society. And therefore, as the media, our role is to hold each and everybody accountable. And including the National Police Service, that they have to be accountable, and especially who is the area OCS in that area, why is crime high in that particular area and is not taking. So that is where you hold that officer accountable, the officer, the OCS in that area where the crime is high. You hold him accountable. What is he doing? Is he sleeping on the job? And if he's sleeping the job, then you look at the accountability mechanism on how he can go and do his job.
There's that aspect of command responsibility, and it has been talked about time and time again. Allow us to speak to the good Reverend Dr. Agola, who's joining us. He's from the National Council of Churches of Kenya. In just about a minute, you know, the church should be the salt of the earth, the moral compass of the society. But when such vices are playing out time and time again, the first time could be perhaps, you know, an isolated incident. But when it plays out again, we have to poke holes into how the church is guiding residents or Kenyans towards the right path. How can the church play a part in being the solution? In a minute.
Thank you very much, Jesse. When we talk of the church or religious institutions, we are talking of everybody in the Republic of Kenya, except for a very few who say they don't profess any religion. So all of us, including those who are here, we are part of the church. The moral fabric of the society is like loosening, and there is need for all of us to team up and know that when the foundations are shaken, then every one of us should look for a reason to be the salt. And that does not point fingers to a particular group of people or church leaders or religious leaders only. It starts from our homes, then it continues into the society.
All right.
Thank you.
And we'll be having more deliberations a little bit later on. As the National Crime Research Center, when you see such incidences playing out time and time again, speak to us about one of the recommendations that was included in your report that will perhaps be the silver bullet to ending these issues of criminality. Briefly.
Very well. Before I say something on recommendation, I would wish to say that security starts with you. And the second thing I want to say is we have no any other country. I wish we can visit Uganda, Tanzania, Southern Sudan and see what is happening there. You will regret where we are taking Kenya. From the center, we have done crime mapping. We understand the dynamics of crime all over Kenya. It is upon all our stakeholders to take consideration with all the recommendations we've made to all the criminal system and the actors to make sure that everyone who is found culpable, they should be dealt with as required.
Indeed, indeed. I'd like to hear from the gentleman right behind you,
Very
because
well.
we're still pressed of time. At the end of the day, there are youth who can be used by politicians. How do we break that narrative? Is the silver bullet employment? Has the government done enough when you look at some of the programs that have been started? I don't want to mention them by name. Is the government doing enough to ensure this disenfranchised youth are brought to the table, to the decision-making table?
I think I can say it has not done enough. You know, for us to break this lineage, we need to have youths who have something to do, and also they need to have an investment, because, you know, we will go to a state of anarchy because they have nothing to lose. You know, a youth who has a business is different from a youth who is jobless. So that's the only thing. And also, the governments need to put an avenue where the people can get finances and then start to boost themselves. They get economic empowerment, because without that, we are going very, very bad place.
Okay, Dr. Makanga, briefly, at the end of the day, your society seems to be benefiting. There's so many private security firms, even right here at Standard Group, we've employed private security. How do we ensure that we collaborate, private security, National Police Service, to make this incidents a thing of the past?
Thank you so much. The private security companies have played a very critical role. First of all, in creating employment, we've more than 1 million jobs that have been created by security companies. And I can tell you, if security companies close, what you're going to see is serious criminality going up. And here, the problem here is people have been given jobs and they don't want to do them, because you can't expect Murkomen to be able to fight crime for you and you are the OCS in a particular area. I think the issue here is people have refused to work. And there comes a time when those in leadership must be able to strike the whip and tell guys, no way, it cannot happen.
Okay.
Like what has happened in Kayole. This is unacceptable. Oh, we must be having police officers on patrol. People have left their role, and what they are doing is the one that actually makes these guys. The criminals can be able to see what the police are doing, and they can be able to plan against the police. So what am I saying? The criminals have gone tech.
Okay.
And we are still living in Vasco da Gama. So we are not able to meet the crime that is being committed right now. And by the end of the day, you find where we are focusing, we cannot be able to compete with the crime that is there currently. And unless we do something, we are going to be in a very big problem.
Yeah, it's a recipe for disaster. Mr. Speaker, sir, 30 seconds. Your analysis of this issue.
What I would say is that we have a Directorate of Criminal Investigation that should change his name to Directors of Criminals and Goons, because they are not doing their work. Their work is to investigate crimes like these ones. We see women crying. Why are women crying? We see guns are here outside. They are not doing their work. So they should change their name all of a sudden.
Well, I don't know if a name change will be a solution, but I get the comical nature of that particular comment. Daktari, 30 seconds. How do we solve these issues?
In my view, it is very, very important that we uphold the provisions of the Constitution and also observe the rule of law, so that everyone who is responsible for financing the Goonism and so on can be held accountable. Thank you.
Definitely. We need accountability at the end of the day, and faith in these institutions, and faith comes through actions. So we need actions, first of all, for Kenyans to have faith in the independent institutions to be able to nip this criminality at the bud. This is just the tip of the iceberg, gentlemen. We'll be back with the conversations for our viewers. Keep it right here on KTN for in-depth analysis on this very important matter, how we root out insecurity in the country and get back to better days where, you know, we had faith in the criminal justice system, and equally you feel safe at home or in the streets. Let's take a short break right here on KTN Prime. The conversation continues a little bit later on, but news updates will be coming your way courtesy of my colleague Noah Kipkemboi.